Hi everyone, it's Don, and today what we're going to talk about is what are the hot markets out there right now, and what are some of them that are really kind of cooling down. And yeah, let's talk about those cruising markets right after this. Right now, the core markets for cruising industry, the main cruise lines, would be North America. Specifically, the Caribbean, the West Coast, where you would travel to Hawaii or perhaps down to Baja into the Mexico area, and of course, Alaska. Alaska is up year after year after year consistently now for the last 8 years. In fact, Princess Cruise Line has 7 ships sailing there this year, and next year Norwegian's upping it to 4, and even Disney is increasing their amount of Alaskan cruises, even though they only have 4 ships. So Alaska's pretty hot, Caribbean's always been hot, and now Europe has started to grow. And so the cruise lines have started to shift some more itineraries into the European market as they see that the European market is up 12% over last year and up 19% over the year before, so it's a consistently growing market. And one of the markets that just doesn't seem to be growing right now, if you remember a few years back, one of the big pushes from all the cruise lines was the Chinese market, the moving into that market with the new and upcoming cruisers, because China really wasn't a cruising country yet. And so that's an untapped market for these cruise lines. So cruise lines started building ships specifically for these markets, and the growth looked year after year like it was going to keep growing. In fact, some predictions were saying in China alone, there were going to be 6 million cruisers by 2024, which is a really large market considering they were going from almost zero. And so all that seemed really good, but suddenly the market has turned. In fact, this year, Chinese cruises are down 12% from last year. So the trend has stopped growing and has now started dipping. So much so that ships like the Majestic Princess, that was touted and built specifically for the Asian market, has now had to add Australian itineraries to its market to keep the ship going and running on a regular basis at as big a capacity as it can. And now the big news again today, the Norwegian Joy, another specifically built ship for the Chinese market. All the advertising was for this. 1 year later, is basically, we're now being told, yeah, she's leaving China and she's heading to do Alaska to join the Norwegian Bliss out there. And in fact, they're going to do a $50 million renovation on the ship before she gets to Seattle. She's even going to sail out of the same port as the Bliss, because the Bliss has been highly successful with its Alaskan cruises, and the Bliss is the Joy is basically identical, except the Joy itself has one thing the Bliss doesn't, and that's the Galaxy Pavilion that actually has indoor bumper cars, and it has like Star Wars battle pods, virtual simulators. So there's a few things on there, but it's going to upgrade and get the Starbucks coffee store inside and a few changes to the bar itineraries to make it more of a North American feel. So after spending all this money to upgrade and build a ship, that was the second last ship Norwegian built, it's already leaving China because the Chinese market just isn't going down. And there's a lot of speculation on why this is, and it's anybody's guess, really. When you think of China, a lot of people think it's really high tech and everyone has 2 cell phones and 3 TVs, and really they really do have a lot of traditional old way of doing business, which might surprise a lot of people. For instance, if you were to think about booking a cruise right now, if you're living in North America, I bet you 99% of you will go online, look up cruises, go to the cruise line websites, see what's out there. If you're contacting an agent, you're 9 times out of 10 you're talking to an at-home agent like myself. You're not getting in your car, driving to the store, and looking for a travel agency. Most travel agents done nowadays are at-home agents working with host agencies, and we're quite used to that now. Well, in China, it's the exact opposite. They have more stores for travel in China, and that's where people go. They head to these stores for the one-on-one interaction with the people they're dealing with. Fewer than 10% of cruises are booked online in China. All the rest are done through the stores. And so that's one big change out there that's going on. Another thing is China tends to have rough seas, so it might not be as conducive to, say, sailing through the Alaskan Inside Passage, which is virtually silky smooth calm waters most of the time, or even the Caribbean has very rarely rough waters unless you're going through hurricane season. But in China, quite often they can have quite rough weather, and what we would consider rough weather in the Caribbean would be the norm on some days in the China seas. So a lot of things could be contributing to this. It could be the trade war that's going on and tariffs that are happening now between the US and China, and well, the US and everybody right now, right? Governments, you gotta love them. But yeah, the Chinese market just seems to be slowing down while Alaska and Caribbean and Europe are expanding every year for the last 4 years. So those are the hot markets right now. So if you're looking for good deals, maybe check out some Asian cruises next year or the year after, because they may be lower in price than they've ever been. Because as you know, when they introduce new ships like the Majestic and they introduce the Joy, those prices all go up. Look at the prices of the Blizz. Look at the prices of the Celebrity Edge coming up next year. It's higher than their other ships, and that's because they're brand new ships and everyone wants to cruise on them. But now that itinerary is changing, the market's slowing down, you might just get a really good bargain. So maybe check out some Asian cruises for 2020 and 2019. So I hope you liked this video, just a little update on what the hot markets are in cruising right now. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world, please hit that subscribe button. Till next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.